All right, welcome in. I'm just sitting here. I'm Joe Murray. We had to move the time today. I was doing TV and radio in Boston today, so I usually do noon, but we're going to do 4 o'clock for the rest of this week. And, of course, it is draft week. We have a great panel. Yesterday we had Ted Johnson. Today we have Mike Flynn. We'll wrap up the week with Mike Lockhart from 98.5 The Sports Up and Fantasy Buzz. Bob Sosi, the voice of the Patriots. He is on Thursday, and John Sarnides, Dr. Football, he'll be with me on Friday. So that's the lineup for this week. I'll set the agenda real quick. Of course, the NFL Draft Week continues. I'll recap last night's Better Call Saul, one of my favorite shows going right now. Tonight, Dark Side of the Ring continues. It features Dino Bravo, so that should be very good. Of course, Mike Flynn, will get to learn more about him and shoot the shit when it comes to stuff football and everything that's going on in the world. And there was a Chris Farley documentary last night on E&E. I got a chance to watch a little bit of that. Going to continue that tonight. And, of course, the news we broke yesterday, we'll have a macho man battle between Sean Silver and comedian Nate Sauter. So that will be fun. And that will be at 7 p.m. So that's going to be fun tomorrow night at 7 p.m. We're going to literally go at it between the both of them there. Supposedly they're the two best in the business when it comes. So Dan Sauter and Sean Silver tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So I will bring in my guest today. His name is Mike Flynn. You guys can hear him on 98.5 The Sports Hub. More importantly, though, Super Bowl champion Mike Flynn. That's how I always have referenced you. You know that,
and that's
right?
why I always like you best at the hub. You know what I mean? There's something. You're the only one that shows me any respect there. There respects a Glory Days story every now and then.
That's right. So whenever I introduce you, I'm like, that's Super Bowl champion Mike.
I should have wore the ring. I didn't even think about it.
Hey, I can put you on hold for a minute if you want to go grab.
I may have to because I never wear it into the. Because whenever we come into that studio, I forget everything, and knowing my luck, I would leave it there, and I don't want to lose that ring.
Mm-hmm. So, Flynn, we have a bunch of people watching right now. Just to set this up, so I've been doing this for about 2 weeks. I'm bored as shit.
Yep.
So you can swear. Awesome. You can swear. You can drink. You can do whatever you want here. So it's no holds barred. We get the parental advisory sticker. Good. I found that. We got that up at the top here. I want to ask you about your career and do all that fun stuff, something that people don't know about. But just breaking in the last, 5 minutes, Ian Rappaport saying that Rob Gronkowski wants to come out of retirement and come back to football, but wants to play with Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks. And I'll just throw out some logistics. He's still under contract with the New England Patriots. So if he did want to do that, the Pats would have to work out a trade. They already have O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate on their roster as well. So your thoughts on Rob Gronkowski wanting to come back and play football, but go to Tampa Bay with Tom Brady?
I love it. I mean, he said it was his quarterback, right? When, they were talking about retirement and Brady leaving or staying, that he's the only guy he's going to play with. So it's not shocking. I mean, he was 30 when he retired, okay? And now he's an older 30 because of the injuries he had. But 30 is 30. I mean, shit, man. Like, I played to 33, and I wish I could have played longer. So he had that opportunity to step away. You saw him in the WWE stuff, and it wasn't great. I mean, it pays. I would do it, but it didn't look great. He probably misses the game. So I don't think it's shocking, and it's not shocking that it would be Tampa. Now, is Bill going to let him walk? I mean, I think he's going to call his bluff, and he's going to hold out. Now, if he comes into camp, I guess, theoretically, right, they'll be on the hook for his cap charge if they keep him there. But if you're Bill, what do you care? He could want all he can hammer that he wants to play, but Bill's not going to have any sympathy for him. What I mean by that is he's not going to let him walk for nothing just because Tommy left and he feels bad. He's nostalgic, He'll hold their feet to the fire. Now, I don't know what you would get for him, but even if it's a fourth or a fifth or a third, who knows? I mean, I don't know how desperate Tampa is. You would think they're relatively desperate, right? Because you figure you got Tom Brady for 2 years. You got to assume that you figure a year off, Gronkowski's 31, 32, that he could be effective. So who knows? Maybe they bite. Bill squeezes them and they bite for a third-round pick. I mean, I would think Tampa if and they're really pushing, Tom's pushing for him, that he may get a decent draft pick out of it.
So I'm still trying to find out the contract details.
I think he's under contract. I mean, whatever his my guess would be at this point, probably whatever his base salary is. I mean, that's the minimum of the cap hit. He was gone last year, so I'm sure they mitigated some of that dead space because of retirement. But what was he making? Like $8 million a year or something when he left, something around that mark.
I'm looking at
well, that'll be on the books. So maybe something like if he kind of holds out long enough, and they sign this guy, that guy, they sign draft picks, that all of a sudden you enter a guy that has $8 million on the books, that maybe he can force the Patriots to make a move in that front.
Yeah, and I'm curious if that would help with because you mentioned the dead money. Maybe that would help a little bit. I'll get all the logistics of that in a little bit here. But off the bat, though, he wants to come back. He wants to play with Tom Brady.
Oh, I love it. But I mean, it's funny. Like, I'm not the biggest Patriots fan. Like, I grew up as an Eagles fan, and there was the one era of my dad ended up getting New England Patriots season tickets because he was like, we didn't like Parcells, but we're a big Parcells fan, because he's with the Giants, and we kind of respected him. And my dad was like, oh, the Patriots are going to end up being good because he's freaking best coach ever, because I love Parcells, right? So we ended up getting season tickets, and like that era when Bill took over, like, I don't know, I kind of fell in love. And those are great teams. It was like, the Bledsoe team, that was it 94. Remember they ripped off like 6 or 7 in a row, and Bledsoe was a coach. They had like Keith Byers was on the team, and then they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, that was great times for me because it was like that, like high school and the college type stuff. So I was like all in. So I didn't really grow up a Patriots fan because generally they suck. But like that era, I freaking loved because I love those teams and I love Bill. But besides that, like, it's whatever. I mean, they've been great the last 20 years. But when you see like Brady leaving, which I still don't understand, I figure, it's kind of like this Jordan thing, like ending a dynasty too soon. Like, a guy like Jordan or Brady, they don't come around that often. Like, I feel like he could have squeezed that rock a little bit more, but he wants to go to Tampa. It's great drama. It's great for us to talk about. And certainly, they have success with Tom and Gronkowski and they make a run in the playoffs. It certainly is. The optics of it looks bad for Bill, and it's fun to talk about, but I love that he wants to come back. I mean, I think he's kind of lost. You see him like doing all these different, like,
the CBD in general, the weed stuff, And
yeah.
And now me. I mean, so I do it. I'm a huge wrestling fan, as you know. He won a title, but it was like
I saw it. It was the 24/7 title.
But like this is the most polarizing figure, probably best tight end of all time, and he's kind of looked like a joke. We haven't seen him on television since. So,
well, he did look like a joke, and I don't here's what I'll say about wrestling. Like, I used to love wrestling, and I was out of it for a while. Then I loved the Raw era, and now it's like I don't really watch it, but it is not freaking easy to go up there and talk and perform like that and make it look normal. Like, I always think, like, I can do wrestling. I can go up there and yap and like come off and throw a haymaker or two. Like, then when you see like Gronkowski or people kind of go do it and how bad they could look. It's the same thing with like actors, right? When like Tom Brady does a commercial, you figure, dude, this guy could be a leading man. He's 6'5". It's Tom Brady. Then he does like a commercial. You're like, oh shit, man. It's like, loosen up. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just not as easy as you think.
Good point, because maybe he tried it. Maybe in WWE just let go of 30 plus people. They probably paid him big money to come in. And I don't know, maybe he tried it and he was like, fuck this. I want to go catch footballs. But what I'm reading more into this is I think he was sick of the Patriot way. They tried to trade him 2 years ago. Brady fucking fought for him. He came back. They won a Super Bowl. And he's like, fuck this, I'm done. Like, he retired at a young age. And he's, according to the reports, he still wants to catch touchdown passes, but only from Tom Brady. So to me, this is an FU to the Patriots.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't know if it's like an FU of like, screw you Patriots, you suck, you're always wrong. I don't think it's that. I just think, dude, the guy came in, you buy in, right? And I'm not saying the Patriots way is wrong and some other places right. Certainly the Patriot way in terms of like the the commitment every year and the grind and accountability and everybody's on eggshells. Like, listen, they win, so that works, okay? But you need the right people. There's nothing wrong with like loving the process of it and winning and doing that. And then when you get later on, you're like, fuck this, man. Like, I want to have fun. I want to like yap in front of the camera. I want to like dance around. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to kill Gronkowski. It's not that he doesn't want to win, but sometimes the grind, you're tired of all the like. It's not the work. It's not the practice. It's the chicken shit. You know, the chicken shit stuff. You know what I mean? Like, can't do this in the media. You can't do that. The way the coach grinds, you get tired of it after a while. And if a guy wants to leave, there's nothing wrong with that. But on vice versa, right? I remember like being on a team where I'm surrounded by guys that don't get it or don't care, and the coaches are morons, right? And then I would like probably think like when you first go to build, like, yeah, it's tough and like you're stressed out, but he's in it to win it. You know what I mean? So that also could be a draw. You see a lot of these veterans that come here and it's just everybody's just focused on winning. But it's hard. It's like Brady doing that for 20 years is nuts. Like there's not like doing that for 8 or 9 years is tough. I don't care who you are. You know, so these great ones like McGinnis was there for a while and Brewski was there for a while and McCourty's been there for a while. Like it's a credit to them, but it's not easy. You know, that's why you see a lot of fluctuation in the roster, like whether free agents leave or bring in veterans for a little bit and they leave. Like it's not easy to commit to that kind of like this system for like 8 or 9 years. You know what I mean? Because it's a grind.
Yeah, people can chat in. They can use the chat feature, and we'll pull you right up. Gronk, 1 year, $10 million left. That's nothing. So to me,
no, but that's a big deal against your cap, though. If the Patriots say no, fuck you, we're keeping you, and all of a sudden you got a $10 million hit on your cap, like,
yeah,
for a guy that may or may not show up, I don't,
Yeah, you can cut Sanu and some other guys. I don't know, but though I do think it's value though. $10 million for one of the greatest, tight ends of all time.
Oh, if you're the Buccaneers, I do it in a heartbeat. I would trade a draft pick. Who gives a shit? Like, you got to think at this point, if you're going in with is he 41 now?
Brady's 41, 42. Yeah, 42.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going a 2-year deal with a 42-year-old, what's a 3rd-round pick at this point? Or a 4th-round pick? I mean, you're going to try to get as low as you can, but.
Yep, he's 42. Will be 43 in August. So he'll start the season at 43 years old.
Dude, I'm rooting for him. I don't know how you feel, but I'm goddamn rooting my ass off for that guy. I really am.
Well, I want to get into that in a little bit here. I'm going to fire a bunch of questions at you. People want OJ Howard. Maybe, I mean, hell, if you could do Gronk and a pick for Howard, Howard's been disappointing, but he's definitely talented and
talented guy. Yeah,
in that Alabama connection, Nick Saban and Belichick. So maybe that there's something there. He is Mike Flynn, 98.5 The Sports Hub, played 11 years in the NFL. I wanted to hear more of your story. I know it. Some people don't. But I wanted to just start off with this one. Obviously, we're dealing with quarantine. That's how I'm stuck in the house here, and I just was like, I want to do a podcast. I'm bored. But if you could pick one former teammate to be quarantined with, who would it be?
Oh, shit, man. It's not an easy question because most people are a pain in the ass, right? Probably, you know what, though? Probably it's not a sexy answer, but like probably I had this lineman, Edwin Militalo.
Oh, yeah.
He was an Islander. He was like 6'4", like 360. This guy was a beauty. Like, I kid you not, Joe. Like, you know how you joke around me and you like to eat? Like, if you put this guy in prison for 6 weeks and you just fed him bread and water, he would gain 10 pounds. You know what I mean? Like, he's just this big, lovable dude. But he was the most laid-back dude, and he could cook and stuff like that. So it's probably be like the guy that we got along with. Or this guy, Benny Anderson. He was my right guard. Of course, it'd be somebody, right, like I played next to. And he played with him for like 2 or 3 years. And he was from like Louisiana and didn't say shit. Like, didn't talk at all. He was awesome. But funny, but when he did, it was funny as hell. Like, those are probably I would probably find my way and navigate the lineman. Because, yeah, there he is. Dude, that guy's the best dude ever. He does not look like that. He looks awesome now, believe it or not. Dude, he's huge. Like, so my experience with Islanders, what I mean, I was like guys from Tonga, or
like Hawaii,
and Fiji and all that kind of stuff. And like the percentage of, and I think it's like Tonga, the percentage of people from like that play football or that are from there, like that play in the NFL are ridiculous. Like it's not huge, but compared to like the United States, it's ridiculous. They're like freaks, like the most freak people you ever saw. Like I remember there was this guy, Leo Goes, I played with. He was my first year. I think he was Tongan, like 34. This son of a bitch couldn't even get in his stance. Just a white. He'd get on like the incline bench press. He had like 450 on or something. And I was a rookie coming in. I'm thinking this guy is gonna like kill himself, right? The guy just like lifts it, like just freak strength type of guys. But Edwin was the best, man. He was just like the most laid back guy I know. So that'd probably be the guy that I would quarantine with because it'd be the less friction. But the further away you get from the ball, the guys in the NFL are a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? Like whether it's backwards or, forwards or like left to right, you start getting towards the tight ends, receivers, back to the quarterbacks and running backs and all that. Like, dude, that's the last thing you want to do is get wrapped in a quarantine with them for like 2 months.
So, Mike, you grew up in Springfield, Mass. Cathedral, is that correct?
Yeah, I grew up, Agawam, Mass, which is like a town over. Cathedral was like a Catholic school that we went to. My parents signed me up. Obviously, it was the best thing I ever did. I mean, it was, a good school. It's not even around anymore. They had those hurricanes a while back, and they had to combine with another Catholic school. They're like St. Paul's now, actually. They're good at hockey, though. I know that. I don't even think they have a football team anymore. But, yeah, from there to Maine. Like, I played soccer growing up. You know what I am? I was like that guy.
Holy shit. You played soccer?
Oh, yeah. I played soccer in high school. I tried out with like the soccer team. And see, there was a time where remember, because you played football in high school. And I'm older than you, but we're still kind of roughly in the same era where like football was kind of the sport. And like the coaches were always like dominating type of personalities. They could be, you know what I mean? It's a different sport. Well, in my school, the football coach was also like the gym coach and like the AD. It was fortunate. Like he had so much control of whatever clicked in the sporting world there. So his office was at the front of the locker room. So you could never get by the locker room, and the weight room was right across from his office. So his office is the front of the locker room. Sorry. So you can't get in and out without going by his office. And like I was a freshman, and I walked in, and I was pretty tall. I mean, certainly was way leaner. I was like skinny, and I walked in, and I said, "Excuse me," and I didn't know who the guy was, and he had his back to me, and I said, "Excuse me, I was wondering, can you tell me where the soccer tryouts are?" And this guy literally didn't say shit, right? And then he spun around in a swivel chair and he looked at me and he like eyed me up and down. I was like, what the? Like, and he goes, "You're not playing soccer." I said, "What?" He said, "You're playing football." And I was like, and he goes, "Hey, Joe, get in there." We had this Joe Federico, friggin' classic, this old Italian dude from Springfield, right? He was the freshman coach and the equipment guy. So literally 2 minutes later, I'm in the equipment room and this guy sizing me up for like pads and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I got to go to the bathroom. And I freaking took off, dude. I got scared as shit. Because I didn't even, like, I liked football, but I never played. You know what I mean? So make a long story short, I like tried out for soccer and it sucked. I hated it. They put me in goal. I sucked, Of course they would put me in goal. And then I just decided to play football. The rest is history, I guess. He was a good coach, though. He actually coached at Lynn Classical for many years before he moved to Springfield Central. So It was a good career move because I wasn't getting very far in soccer.
No shit, right? I mean,
nowhere. Not even far. Joe, I was like on the freshman team in soccer. Like, hey, does he make it or doesn't he? Like, pretty much everybody. We had a big school. It was a big school, and there was a lot of boys. Like, there was probably 1,800 kids. Like, it was huge. So it was legitimate. Like, even they would keep you on. But generally, once you get to JV and varsity, like you just don't make it. Like you could literally be cut. So like maybe I make the freshman team, but they were all the dopes. You know what I mean? It was a joke. Like I would have never made like varsity or freshman or something like that. So with football, there's always a spot for somebody. So that's probably why I lucked out. But the rest is history.
You played line right away in high school?
No, I was I was like a tight end linebacker type of guy, and I grew into it. You know what I was like? Here's the thing with me. Like, was I good in high school? I'm sure I was. Like, and in college I was pretty good. But I feel like I was the guy that whenever I leave 2 years later, when I went to Maine, I was playing at Maine. People back home would be like, "Oh man, that guy plays at Maine. He fucking sucks, man. How is he?" Like, all right, buddy. And then when I went to the Ravens after a couple of years after like solidified, all the guys, like there would be guys from college, a couple of kids like, "Oh, he wasn't that good." Or in high school, the guys would be like, "What? He fucking sucks, man." Like when I used to have to go back home, there was guys I played with in high school that wanted to do one-on-ones with me in parking lots. So I had to deal with these guys. Like that's how it was. Like it's
Wow.
like everybody thought I sucked. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I sucked and I got lucky. I'm like, dude, you can only get lucky so long. At some point, you had to be okay, right? To play like 11 years in the NFL, dude. But it's awesome. But that's like a New England, working class,
Yeah.
like there's so many people that want you to do good. There's always those people who are like, fuck this guy,
Yeah.
he sucks. Why isn't it me? And you're like, well, because you're 5'7", asshole, and that's why
Yeah.
it's not you.
Oh yeah, dude. I played baseball with a local kid and played for the Red Sox and won championships. And
Oh,
he's
and
a
he
little,
gets crushed. How many
better
people
than
say,
us.
"Oh, dude, that guy couldn't hit a curveball when he was high school"?
You know,
Like, all right, pal.
and he was good. But yeah, no, I hear you on that. So that's my question. Like, I knew guys who went to Maine and then, well,
Yeah.
one guy went from Maine to USC and then played linebacker in the NFL. But like, you played at Maine and then when you're like, hey, I'm gonna like, you didn't go to a draft combine, right? You didn't.
No,
How did you get noticed?
shit, man. I don't even know. I like one day, I was getting stuff in the mail from agents or something like that. So some way, somehow, I must have got put on some list. You know what I mean? Potential kids that can get drafted or decent players or something like that. So then I kind of went to my position coach, who I trust, and say, "Hey, by the way, like I'm getting this stuff from agents. What is this all about?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, I was going to tell you, like NFL coaches looking at your film. They've come to a game. They're going to come to a game." So that's kind of like how I found out. I mean, I don't. How did they find out of me? I don't know. Like, who knows? I mean, they have New England scouts. Like, the example, the scout for the Ravens that kind of recruited me or scouted me. Like, we're really good friends now. But he was a fucking grinder. You know what I mean? Like, he was a Bill Belichick guy, and no stone fucking unturned. And he signed me, and he signed this kid from Amherst as free agents. He was a defensive tackle. He was 2 years with the Ravens. I played 11, but but they got Priest Holmes, they got Bart Scott, like all these guys. Like, so the scouting department were goddamn grinders. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna do it, like that's hard work. You got to go. You have your system in place. You got to come talk to me. You know what? You got to drive to Orono, goddamn Maine, and go see Mike Flynn, because there were probably other scouts going, "Why the fuck would I go to Maine to see Mike Flynn?" I'm like, and George Cocanis to be like, "Yeah, you know what? We got a fucking starting lineman for 11 years, and he's on the cheap. So, and that's why we can spend 16 million for Ray Lewis and 16 million for Jonathan Ogg." You know what I'm saying? So like, it's the scouts that got to do it, man. You got to have the guys that are willing to like look at the tape and go take a chance. And it's a lot easier than it was. I mean, it was probably easier to find me than it would be to find like 10, 15 years before that. But yeah, that's how it was. Like, there were certain scouts, and it worked out that my O-line coach, or the head coach that recruited me at Maine, was the offensive line coach for the Ravens. So that doesn't hurt either.
Oh, there you
So
go.
he Kirk Ferentz, who's the head coach at Iowa now.
Yep.
So there's that connection. And then the scout liked me, like George, and then the other teams offered to bring me in and everything, but it wasn't like I had 30 teams saying we want this guy. But those 4 or 5 teams that kind of worked me out, like they had interest and they took the time. And more often than not, it's probably a waste of their time. But the guys that don't think it's a waste of their time, that's when they find guys that do what I do. I'm not saying I'm like this Hall of Fame player, but you watch the Patriots, right? Having a guy that can play offensive line for 10 years and not cost you $12 million a year, like, that's invaluable. You know what I mean? Like, with the salary cap and there's only so many ways you can divide that pie, or a guy that buys in. Like, if I was the Patriots, fuck, I'm going to keep my head down, less Bill, no Bill. just another guy to toe the line. You know what I mean? So the Ravens value those type of guys, and the Ravens value going out and finding those type of guys. So, and it was luck too. My first year, unfortunately, like in my first years, like 3 of the guard centers either tore an ACL or blew out a goddamn Achilles. I mean, who gives, you know what I mean? It's like, so I go from a guy that's like 5th on the depth chart to backing up the starter, and I'm playing the whole preseason. So instead of me playing, like 10 snaps in 2 of the games in the fourth quarter, I'm playing the whole second half of every game. So once that happened, like, even though initially I got cut, it's like other teams like me, like professional teams. At that point, it's easy to scout those guys because everybody gets the film. But that was luck. That was luck. You know what I mean? Like 5 guys get hurt, and it's like next man up, and I took advantage of it. It may have not been like you're making the team right now and you're a starter, but it made the coaches in Baltimore know that, all right, this guy may have something. He's not ready yet. And then certainly like other teams that I went to that saw me, like now it's like they have no other choice but to see me. So it's a combination of like, you need that guy to like you, and you need luck. And then you got to, whatever, you got to get your chance, and you got to like deal with shit. You got to, you got to be tough and have some nuts and sack up and take your beating. It's like, there's so many things that go into it with my story. There's tons of stories like me, but they all have similar traits. What you're really good at, you got to show that, and what you suck at, you better hope you don't get asked to do that a lot in the course of a fucking game, or you're fucked, right? But it's just, the style that we ran, the running game that we run was good for me. The coaches love me. I had I could play with like injuries and pain, which fucking kills me now, but there's so many factors, and everybody's different. But certainly for me, like I'll always look back at the Ravens for giving me an opportunity. George going up there and scouting me, because have you been up to Orono, Maine?
I have actually. Yes.
Yeah. That's no easy place to go to, and he's going up in like basically the winter, because the draft's in April, so like you have a guy that's like flying into Boston and renting a Ford Escape and driving up to freaking Maine in the snow and the wind. So I hope I did my part in the equation.
I think you did all right.
Yeah, I mean,
you got a
we're
second
still
contract.
friends, so there's a reason why we're still friends.
Mike, they always say that second contract, man. If you can get to that level, and you did, and you played 11 years in the league, and you had tests and played in the playoffs, and you played for a great team. I want to get to that in a minute here, but some shit's breaking as we're talking.
Nice.
So here we are. Right? You always root for that, right? Whenever you're on the air, what's something to happen? We're trying to get your story, and fucking Gronk's screwing it all up. Jay Glazer reporting, and I sent it to my if this is big enough. Gronk is officially traded. He's gone. Gronk already took his physical for the Bucks, and it looks like from Adam Schefter, the Patriots are trading a 7th round pick. Let me just pull it up here. I just had it a second ago. A 7th round pick, and they're going to get a 4th round pick. So
7th and Gronk for a 4th. Okay,
Gronk in the 7th to the 4th. So Rob Gronkowski's a Tampa Bay Buck. He's off New England's payroll, and the Patriots will receive a 4th round pick for Rob Gronkowski.
I mean, you can look at this both ways, right? Talk about the FU to the Patriots. Take that aside, because that's the best part to talk about. But for the Patriots, a 4th round pick for somebody you didn't even think about, you know what I mean? So that's probably a good deal for them. For Tampa, I mean, you lose a 4th, and that's kind of what I said. If it may be worth a 4th for you. What's that?
That's a no-brainer for the Bucks, if you ask me. And plus $10 million, like I don't know, maybe he'll rework the deal or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that. I mean, he's young enough, right, where you get the year off, you rehab, get your body right, get your mind right, because he probably was done mentally, right? He's probably he'll have an effective year. Like if you got to sign him to a 2-year deal or something like that, it's not a big deal. I think it'll be effective. And for the Patriots, you get a 4th-round pick for a nobody, for a guy that you're not even going to bring back. It's not a bad deal for them either. So I don't know. I'm wondering. I don't know how much him coming back has to do with Brady leaving and going to Tampa as not being in New England. But like, if he was still with New England, I think he may still have that burning desire to come back, because it was weird. He's kind of lost. He was doing a whole bunch of something, but really nothing good. Like he'd host this, host that, do wrestling, and everything he did. Or like, do you remember the what was it? Didn't he do like the New Year's Eve thing and he smashed like Steve Harvey's thing, and Steve Harvey got pissed?
Oh, he was pissed. Yeah,
he's super pissed, because like that's funny stuff, but like on that kind of broadcast with Steve Harvey, it's like, what is wrong? It doesn't translate. So he does all this stuff. So maybe he's kind of like, dude, I'm kind of like, nothing's really my element. So maybe if I get back at it. Now, I think it's just awesome that it worked out for him, that it's in Tampa. It's going to be warm. It's going to be great for his joints, and Tom Brady's down there. He may have come back and not want to go back anyway, but I think I wouldn't be surprised, speculated, that he would have wanted to come back anyway, after sitting around for a year.
Yeah, maybe he couldn't pass the drug test and didn't want to do that. I don't know, because of that CBD. I have a feeling we're going to see Gronk hanging out on that pirate ship in Tampa Bay, like fucking party boat Gronk on that pirate ship.
Do they have a boat in that pool? Is there a boat up there? Or not a boat, a pool in the boat. I can't remember if they have.
Don't know, but
that's Jacksonville. Jacksonville has those pools up there.
Well, I was supposed to go for WrestleMania this year, and that didn't happen. But the whole ship and boat idea seemed pretty cool. Hey, while we're on the tight end discussion, you played for the Ravens. The year you won the Super Bowl, Shannon Sharp, Ben Coates.
Awesome.
In my mind, like, that's like probably the greatest tandem. And I know Coates was at the end of the road there, but I don't know. Where do you rank Gronk with those guys? And at the time, like, you never saw a receiver like Shannon Sharp. And
no, I think like Ben Coates to me was Gronk before Gronk, certainly if they had an offense that utilized him more and tailored it to Gronk, I think he'd have those type of numbers. And then Shannon Sharp was the first guy, like, splitting out and catching a lot of balls. I mean, they're great. I mean, they're top 5 type of guys. I mean, Gronk's great. I mean, he does have that power aspect to it that Shannon didn't have. But they didn't ask him to do that. Like, he would cut back sides and zone plays, and he would run out to the slot and make big plays for you. Coates could block, but I mean, yeah, like, they weren't in their primes, but the combination was great. I mean, we were fucking awesome. We went 2 tight end sets. It was very similar when the Patriots used to go 2 tight end sets when they were good. Ben was more of a power guy, and not to mention, dude, he was like one of my best teammates ever. Like, that year had probably 2 of my best teammates ever, and they were both like Patriot like rejects. One was Sam Gash, and one was Ben Coates. And it was like maybe my 4th year in the league, and these guys were like old gnarly vets, and they used to practice with like dip in and stuff, and like they'd have this huge lipper in. They talk, and Brian Billick was great though. His practices were kind of not easy, but they were tailored to the player, and they used to have these special teams practices, and they'd have these guys who come out early for special teams, so the other guys wouldn't have to be out there as long. And I would go out there because I was a young guy, so I'd be on stuff like kickoff return, whatever, and I'd have to watch something else. I think I was like the backup snapper or something, but Ben Coates used to come out there sometime, and he would be freaking pissed, right? So I'd be like his like sounding board. He had this big lipper in. He said, I won't even do it. He's like, Flynn, man, motherfucker. Like, these motherfucking guys, do they know who the fuck I am, man? 13 years of fucking league. I'm out here in special teams practice. I'm like, what the Flynn, you don't need to be doing this shit. When you get old, you tell them to fuck up. I'm like, Ben. I'm like, but dude, Ben Coates was goddamn awesome. Sam Gash were awesome. Like, I can't describe to you like some of the coolest dudes that you ever met, but he was awesome. He had probably some of the biggest catches of the year. We had one in our Tennessee playoff game, a seam route, Ben Coates. Like, we couldn't move the ball to save our lives. It was a pretty good defense, and we sucked. Like, we were good up front, but we just weren't that explosive. But big play down the seam. We scored a couple plays later. We ended up pulling away. But that tandem is as good as anything, man. Those guys are awesome. Like those two, Gronk, like
Tony
I
Gonzalez.
don't understand how Ben Coates that. I mean, maybe I don't see the love like he gets historically, I guess is a way to put it. I thought he was awesome, but I thought he was awesome. But then again, though, too, like those Patriots team that I really liked that I bought into, like he was on those teams too. So he, when I got a chance to play with him too, like see, that was even, I'm like, because we signed him like, oh my God, they signed Sam Gash. And Ben Coates, and I'm looking around like, oh man, it's a guy, nobody else gave a shit like I did. But I was like, oh, so then I got to be kind of like friends with him. It's like, dude, it's like awesome. Like it's Ben Coates, man. I used to sit up in this section to watch you. You know what I mean? And whenever I say it, he'd go like this, he'd look at me like, just give me some stink eye or something like that. But those two guys are great. But Gronk's great. I think he'll be fine. I think he's gonna be 31. I bet you'll have a couple good years, man. He'll be rejuvenated.
Dude, the other night, so I've been kicking around TV, and there's this thing called Peyton's Place on ESPN.
Yeah, I've seen that a little bit.
Did you see so there's one with Brian Billick. You should check that out.
I'll check it out.
Obviously, he's your old coach, but the one thing that I kind of saw was one that brought my attention was obviously you guys won the Super Bowl, but you were the first team to do Hard Knocks.
Yes.
And dude, the characters, Goose, they were showing these things where Shannon Sharp would wear this hat like over his eyes.
Oh yeah.
And they'd bring everybody in, and somebody would like imitate him, or like somebody would fuck with Ray Lewis, who like wasn't paying attention to the back of the room or whatever. But like, was that what it was every day? Like just jokes and pranks and. I mean, dude,
well, they edited a lot down. Well, it was weird because Billick loved that stuff, man. He was such a media hound, like he loved manipulating the media. He loved talking to the media. He had an awesome ego for that. So, once we won the Super Bowl, like how can him and the rest of the team get more attention, right? So I don't know, it was a chicken or the egg. I don't know whether he said, hey, we should do something and presented that, or HBO came to them, but he was all on board. He told us about it. And I think at first everybody was like, oh, this is kind of weird, but once you realize what it was, like those characters were like, fuck, I'm going to sell myself. You know what I mean? Like it was like that. Don't get me wrong. That team and all those guys, that did happen all the time. There was a lot of joking around, and there were some strange dudes and funny dudes on that team. Like it was very, very unique teams. But then you put a camera around, I think it just blows that up. It's like, even more so. But I would say like from Ted Marchibroda was there for a couple of years, and then Billick's first couple of years, the guys in those four teams, I have to admit, it was very, how can I articulate this? What's that movie? What's that NFL movie that it's all kind of bullshit? The one with
Any Given
Pacino.
Sunday? Yeah, Any Given Sunday.
Those teams were closer to Any Given Sunday than they were. As much as bullshit as that was, those 3 or 4 years, when Billick got there, started like when Ted Marchibroda was there, forget about it. Like I'm talking, you want to talk about a kid coming from Maine and then all of a sudden go on that team for 2 years. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I'm not in Kansas anymore. It was wild. And then when Billick got there, it changed a little bit, but all those characters kind of carried over. And then it got a little more straight-laced. But yeah, that's kind of what it was. We had the rookie nights. You made fun of everybody. You could not have thin skin in there. Like Saragusa, like I don't know how to think about it. Like I think he's a fucking asshole. You know what I mean? But I kind of like him. Like I see what I don't like him is when he was there when I was a rookie and all that, and he'd be such an asshole. Like our position coach would be talking to us and he'd come up like, all right, Kirk, who you cutting today? Who's the one not making it? Like kind of that shit. You know what I mean? Like just busted balls constantly. And I thought he'd be oversensitive if you busted his balls. But then you kind of like grow, you know what I mean? And then it's like, then you're laughing. You realize, okay, I get it. He's a guy from Jersey. You know what I mean? Just a freaking blowhard. My fucking parents loved him. You know what I mean? They loved my parents. So it's like, but I'd be like, oh, he's such an asshole. But then he's not either. You know what I mean? But that is his kind of personality. If you watch it, it's kind of funny, but he's kind of being a dick. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what he was. And then like sometimes he'd be great, and other times you're like, oh, what an ass. But like, that's kind of who he was, and he's a good player. I mean, in his prime though, like Goose when he was at the Colts in his prime, you want to talk about a legit shit kicker. Like he was awesome, very good.
Big time nose guard. All right, so everyone probably asked you about Ray Lewis. That year in particular was very interesting, but was he the most polarizing figure on the team? Because I know in later years, certainly. But when
probably outside of the team, in the locker room, not really. Like a guy like Sarah Gooser or Shannon Sharp would be way more like polar in terms of like in the locker room, because they're always talking. There's always shit talking, always like, trying to get somebody's goat. He didn't really say much. I mean, when he was younger, before Atlanta, everything, he was a little more wilder. You know what I mean? But as he get older, he didn't talk much. He wasn't the focal point of the locker room. He was a leader at times and on the field. That, like I'll say this, I'd never seen anybody but practice harder and play harder than him. But in terms of like that polarizing guy in the locker room, no. But out of the locker room, oh, absolutely. I mean, he was the guy. And whether it's, the hooting and hollering before the game with the camera, some of it I think was genuine, but I also think some of it was kind of like, I don't want to say bullshit, but it's a good show. You know what I mean? But in the locker room, nah, like that's the thing. He wasn't that same guy. Like he didn't really, there was other guys that used to be, talk more and get people going and like have issues with. He wasn't like that guy. But certainly when he got out of the locker room, he was public enemy number one. And honestly, I don't know if it was that bad before Atlanta. But certainly after that, I mean, he was the guy. I mean, it was all about him. You know what I mean? Like every road trip and everything like that. And he had to come like on the field. He was like the way he yelled and talked. Like that was real. That probably was the reason why he was the guy. Everybody looked at him polarizing, but in the locker room, he wasn't at all really.
Yeah,
you talk to him, it'd be like, "Hey man, what's going on?" You know what I'm saying? It was just very different personalities.
You still think it's the best defense of all time?
Yeah, it was a very good defense. I think probably the best of all time. Better than the Bears defense because the Bears defense back then, they had the Buddy Ryan 46 and stuff, and like nobody knew what to do against that defense. Like I'm telling you right now, one of the biggest things is like the goddamn Patriots that year beat the friggin' Dolphins. I think the Dolphins would have sliced their ass up in the Super Bowl because they kicked their ass. They kicked their ass like it was 35 to something not too long before because the Dolphins would spread them out and shred them. Those linebackers weren't covering anybody. They were awesome. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they put you in body bags. I mean, it's like I wouldn't want to like. They're all old now. If this was 1987, I wouldn't talk like this on a podcast. They'd probably come to my house and kick my ass. Like
you don't sound biased though. I got to tell you that. Like I know you were on that team, but you live. I mean, it doesn't sound like a biased take.
No, I just think like that team was great because they would like Chris McAllister and Dwayne Starks were your cornerbacks. You had Rod Woodson as your safety. Kim Herring was a guy from Penn State, high draft pick. Good guys. And up front, we were just awesome. You could rush from anywhere. I mean, think about that though. And you goof on them and stuff, but like Marvin Lewis, Jack Del Rio, Rex Ryan, Mike Smith, like all these guys in that defensive staff, like you could say what you want, but like Marvin Lewis, Del Rio, Rex Ryan, they've had success away from the nest. Not like besides Vrabel, who has success from the Patriot coach. I'm just saying, like, between the coaches and the players, like that goddamn defense was good. And they were mean. They were nasty. They defend the pass, Like certainly nowadays with all the rules in place and all that, it wouldn't be as good. It's skewed, but they still be good. You know what I mean? Like you have what? Woodson was a Hall of Famer. Ray Lewis was a Hall of Famer. I think Peter Bowler was on his way to be a Hall of Famer, but he had bad knees. You had all pros all over. So it was, and they had very good depth, like guys coming off the bench were like legit players, you know what I mean? So that defense was very good.
I'll ask you a couple more about yourself and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
How many quarterbacks did you play for? And you ever see Ted? You ever see Ted when the movie Ted and he's like, hey, what's the girl's name? and he goes, "Oh, it's like something Lynn," and he just starts going like Tammy, Julie, Becky, Rocky.
Oh yeah.
Like, can you do that with all the?
No, I had to look it up. Because I knew you sent me the thing. Hey, I want to ask you about the. No, you just said Ravens quarterbacks, and for a second I was thinking like, what the hell does he want to talk about Lamar Jackson? About like, and I'm like, oh, how many? So I played with 14.
Could you
14 different starters. No,
Holy
14
shit.
different starters, not 14 different quarterbacks. So you figure you add another 7 or 8 to that mix.
Yeah.
Dude, I got to go to this list. Vinny Testaverde. That was the start. Vinny was awesome, dude. Best story I have about Vinny Testaverde, right? I'm in a rookie mini camp. You want to know how I know Vinny Testaverde? When I was a little kid, I was 11 years old, and I went down. I was in Florida, and he was playing. He was a number 1 pick, and he was playing a celebrity softball game. So I went out in the field, and I got my picture taken with Vinny Testaverde.
No shit. Did you show?
No shit. Oh yeah, I told him after the fact, at the beginning, right? So all of a sudden, I'm in mini camp, right? And there's Vinny Testaverde. I'm like,
taking snaps from you, right?
Well, here's what happened. You know how many snaps he took with me? Guess how many snaps he took?
I'll say 1.
1.
Yeah.
You're gonna love this story. So, I never played center in my life. My O-line coach said you got to learn to play center. The more you can do. They're in like a 7-on-7 drill. We need a center in there. Flynn, get in there. I go in. I got to snap the Vinny Testaverde. I have probably taken an hour's worth of snap in my fucking life. So Vinny goes down, set. Dude, I short snapped that thing. I jammed his finger.
Oh no.
He screamed. He goes, "What the fuck is this kid doing over here? Drill over." Fucking drill was over. I one snap to Vinny Testaverde, and I jammed his finger, dude. That's my history with Vinny. Can you believe that? I mean, what the
got a story?
That's it, man. Vinny Testaverde. I love that story because it's like, dude, he was so pissed at me. Like, what? Who the hell is this ham and egger in here, like snapping the ball? And I jammed his finger. Jeez, I'm surprised I didn't get cut. The only reason why I didn't get cut because it was a mini camp. You know what I mean? And they didn't really care. Eric Zier, Jim Harbaugh. I played with Jim Harbaugh, was a starter for a year.
Yep.
You love this. So usually quarterbacks, Christmas time, or they give out gifts. You know what Jim's gift was to the offensive line?
Khakis.
Bibles.
Oh, Bibles.
Fucking Bibles.
I know he loves the khakis now, but I figured, wow. What were you like? What the fuck is this?
Dude, I go, Jim. Guess, let me tell you a little story. Guess how many years I went to Catholic school? 12. I don't need a goddamn Bible. This is the Bible.
I don't need one either, man.
Now, Tony Banks.
Oh, God.
Stoney Case. Scott Mitchell. Oh, Stoney Case now. He did start it. Do you remember Stoney Case?
I remember the name. I can't remember his.
I never know this guy, but apparently there was some famous model or something that did all the Doritos commercials, like the Super Bowl commercials.
Yeah. I remember her.
Oh, yeah, he dated her. So, I remember, I'm like, Stoney Case and all the line. Like, oh, dude, that guy dates so-and-so. I'm like, who the hell is that? He goes, the Dorito girl.
Well,
so that's like, what's her name?
I forget her name. I'll look it up. He went to New Mexico, though.
That's it. Yeah. He wasn't a bad guy, though, actually. Scott Mitchell, Elvis Gerback.
Gerback came there highly touted at the time.
Oh, brutal. And then one of my all-time favorites was I got a chance to play with Randall Cunningham. And I grew up as an Eagles fan, and obviously Randall Cunningham be a big part of that. And this was his last year, and they brought him in to be the backup. And he came in. I was like, oh, what am I going to expect with this guy? Like, what am I going to say to him? Because he was like the guy I admired. Like, dude, if you're an Eagles fan, like Randall Cunningham. And I ended up just talking to the guy, and he was so cool. You know what I mean? It's always nice. I don't know why he wouldn't be, but I guess he could be a dick about it. But he was a good guy. I liked him a lot. And he actually, when in the playoffs, I regret, we were playing Pittsburgh in the second round, and Gerback it wasn't his, and everybody wanted to put Randall Cunningham because he came in, he played the game in Pittsburgh earlier in the year. That year they were like 15-1 or 14-2. We beat him in Pittsburgh with Randall Cunningham as the quarterback, and they wouldn't put him in, and we ended up getting thumped. Then it was Jeff Blake.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this guy.
The Bengals for a while, and then
he was an angry little man.
Hey, Chris Redmond. Oh, Chris Redmond. Hey, I just wanted to pull this up.
There she is. That's her.
Allie Landry. She was the Dorito.
Oh, that's it, Allie Landry. And the best part, because the defense back, that's all they would bring up whenever he was in there. It's Dorito guy, girl, something like that. It's harsh. Like I said, like those guys, you couldn't have thin skin with that group. Chris Redmond, Kyle Bowler, Anthony Wright, Steve McNair. Then we had Troy Smith for a while. Remember Troy Smith from Ohio State?
Yeah, Ohio State. Yeah, he was a Heisman Trophy winner.
You know what? I got to kind of like him, but man, when he came in, dude, he came in with like the Heisman Trophy like tattooed to it or ironed on his shirt, and the Ohio State arrogance.
Yeah.
Like, and everybody was like, dude. I said, I remember you said to him like, listen, I want to give you a little advice, but you better shut the fuck up because nobody gives a shit what you did at Ohio State. If anything, they're gonna hate you for it.
Yeah.
But he ended up starting a couple games though. Like he ended up being, I didn't mind him, but yeah, that was the Rolodex of guys. Like the best, like Steve McNair was great. One year we had him and he went 13-3.
Yeah, he couldn't press. Like that was a big thing. You know, he
would have been great to play with in his prime.
Yeah.
But he was like another cool dude, like awesome guy. You get the Rolodex of the quarterbacks, you know what I mean? Being with the center, you're with them a lot. You'd have a lot of meetings with them. And like some you like, oh, I forgot Trent Dilfer. I didn't even put fucking Trent Dilfer there. Can you believe that?
Yeah,
guy gets no respect.
Just real quick, was he projected to be the starter?
No, Tony Banks was the starter.
Okay.
And then they benched Tony Banks after 4 or 5 games. No, 7. Yeah. No, maybe even more. Maybe 4 or 5 games, something like that. And then Dilfer went in. So, but yeah, like I mean, you have a relationship with some you don't. Like Eric Zier, I loved. You know what I mean? And like I didn't play along with him, but he was the best. He was like from Georgia. He was like the coolest dude. You know what I mean? Always have you over to the house, like type of guy. And then there's other guys you didn't talk too much. But yeah, I mean, damn, if we had 2 hours on this fucking podcast, like just like some of the shit, like it's because at the end of the day, what I miss most, like, of course I want to play and I'm competitive, but it's the goddamn stories. And now that I get further away, I don't give a shit about telling them. And you can spin them where it's the truth, but you're not really like killing guys.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like, Redmond was great. I thought he was from Louisville. He could have been okay. I mean, he was an interesting career. Like he started for us and he was okay. And then he blew his back out. Was never the same. But if you remember, he was out of the league for like 2 or 3 years. He came back and had a good career as a backup with Atlanta, which is pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like
he was really good at Louisville. I remember that.
Yeah, he was awesome at Louisville. And he was he may have been a 3rd round pick.
I won't forget Kyle Bowler because the Patriots traded their 1st round pick that year and the Ravens traded up. And then somehow the Patriots got, I think, Vince Wilfork the next year. I could be mixing up the years.
No, I think that's it. I think it is the Wolf.
Yeah. So Kyle Bowler, the quarterback, had a fucking cannon arm, but sounds like a 10-set head.
No, I mean, he was, you know what it was? I like Kyle a lot, and he was great. We hung out a lot, actually. I just don't think, like, physically he wasn't a boy, but he was a boy in a man's game. You know what I mean? Like, he should have – it would have been better off if he stayed next year in college and or he had a couple years to develop. You know what I mean? But, you get a guy at the 18th pick, right, and you really don't have anybody in front of him. He had to play, you know what I mean? And I think, like, by the time he figured out the grind and the commitment to, like, be that type of quarterback, it was kind of too late. You know what I mean? But he was an athletic guy and he's talented. He was such a great dude, man. I liked him a lot.
A couple of chats coming in. People have been all over it. They love the stories, Mike. People talked about the Gronk thing. We will put that again. This one here. Thoughts on NFL's LeBron leaves to the other team and favorite players with him?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I don't think. See, I don't find Brady insufferable like LeBron is. And Brady was quiet about his decisions. I actually like Brady. I mean, I'm talking about not like the player. He's a great player, but like I think he handles the media well. I think how he's handled this. Are you shitting me? Like, how are you not pissed? I mean, I just don't get it. Like everybody's defending Belichick and the Patriots. Oh, you got to move on and you got to rebuild. I'm like, really? Like, people can rebuild forever. Like Tom Brady isn't me or you. Like, God, like, or me as a football player where I'm gone, you figure it out. Like, to me, it would make more sense. Like, if you just added pieces around him, like you would have more success. Like, I never understood what is a rush for a rebuild if it's realistic. You know what I mean? If he thinks they're so bad that they're so off the reservation that you can turn this around quickly, but there's no quick turnaround unless Jarrett Stidham is Tom Brady. There's no quick turnaround if you take Tua or some other quarterback. What's the other guy they were looking at? There was a report about a quarterback.
Jordan Love, Tua
Jordan Love, yeah.
Tagovailoa.
So there's no quick turnaround unless Jordan Love is Tom Brady. You know what I mean? So, like, if Gronk wanted to go, fine. You need to get new cornerbacks, fine. But there is no quick turnaround if you don't have Tom Brady. That's just my opinion. Like, you could be okay. Like think of some of these quarterbacks like Russell Wilson's and Pat Mahomes and Garoppolo. Some of these guys that have been winning, like Tannehill. Like, dude, Tannehill's gonna suck this year. You watch. Like, that heavy run play action shit bullshit. They're gonna expose him next year.
I'm back, man, on that draft. Like Andrew Luck, RG3, all those guys out of the league. He's the only one there, and I think Russell Wilson. I know there were other guys in that draft. Like, remember that draft class?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who else was. Trying to think of who else was in it, but like he's the one that's kind of stuck around. Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna suck. I just know that last year.
Well, maybe I shouldn't. Suck is strong.
The contract.
All right, sorry, Joe, I didn't hear you there.
I said the contracts.
Oh, the contract is friggin' ridiculous.
So yeah, people are wanting to talk about this when it comes to Gronkowski. All right, I got one for you here, Mike. More successful, Tom Brady without Bill Belichick, or Bill Belichick, Tom Brady going forward?
Going forward, well, that's a good question. I mean, on the surface, you would think that Tom Brady could have success, right? If there's some decent pieces around him. I mean, Bruce Arians isn't a shitty coach. He's a good coach. I think Tom will be great under him, right? A little bit of a fresh air. And, with Bill, like, maybe these other teams in the division make some moves. You don't really have a quarterback. So, I mean, in the short term, I could see Tom having more success. Just because he's super motivated. Seems like the Patriots are clearing decks a little bit. So him making the playoffs and making a run a little bit, I could see him having success earlier than Bill. It would make perfect sense to me. I think it's a pretty good situation for him. I don't think he would have chose it if it wasn't. So I could see Tampa being okay.
Its Hall of Fame finalists were announced today. The three finalists are Rich, Mike, and Bill Parcells. You can only pick one, and you have until mid make a selection. I don't. Bill Parcells isn't already in, and it's just like grudge that everyone's had for years. You mentioned watching, like, guy turned around the program, turned around the whole entire. Won Super Bowls with the Giants to come and play for the shitty Patriots. Like, that's what they were. I think they should win. Fuck. But I think that was probably this for the simple fact that I think he gets into the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah, I got Bill Parcells all day and every day. I don't understand that. But then again, I love him. I mean, I love Bill Parcells, and I don't want to say he made Bill Belichick, but how much did Bill learn from Bill Parcells? How to deal with athletes defensively, running a team, like how to push the right buttons. I mean, he learned so much for him. Okay. And then he brought credibility to an organization. Hell, look at me. Like, I kind of grew up an Eagles fan. When they got Bill Parcells, my dad's first thought, he's like, you know what? I'm going to get tickets. They're going to be good. And they were. He brought credibility to that organization. Oh, by the way, he brought Bill Belichick to the organization. Like, that in itself must be worth something, right?
I really agree with that. Again, I think Bill Parcells should be in. Even if there's only one finalist, like they should just slide him in. I don't know how many. I heard he's healthy, but be honored for that. While can still can be remembered and be honored for that one. A couple more here for you, Mike. Thoughts on the Patriots' new uniforms that were unveiled yesterday? And I got a picture of them.
They're okay. I mean, I don't think they're that bad compared to some of the other teams. I think it's a good looking uniform. I'm a little bit of traditionalist with uniforms, but I'm not like this guy that like, oh, the new ones suck. I like it that it's cool. Like to me, those uniforms, they're not that bad. I think the blue ones I like a lot. The white ones on the back with that red stripe, if I wanted to nitpick. But I don't mind the uniforms. I still like the ones with the Pat Patriot on it. So you know what I mean? Like
that's my favorite, dude.
Yeah,
I wish they would have done like a white helmet or just something to change it up. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but white helmets end up looking like shit probably because the equipment guys got to like clean them and resurface them every week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we already know about the Patriots working hard from over the years. One last thing I wanted to ask you. How did you end up with the Patriots and eventually retiring with them?
I got to tell you, I mean, I do have one regret that I wish I did work out a little bit harder. I kind of, when I was done with the Ravens, I was released and it kind of hurt, but I was expected. I mean, it sucks. I was basically there the whole time. So once that I knew was coming. And once that happened, I was kind of deflated. Like, oh, what's the point anymore? And then like right away, like the Ravens and, you want to come back, you want to do TV for us, radio down there, do some shows and everything. So this will be a good soft landing. And that was there. But there were other teams like Detroit was interested in me. And I was like, I told my agent, like, I'm not going to Detroit because they sucked then, they always sucked, but they really sucked. And then I said, I'm certainly not going to camp. And they were pissed. And then Seattle had some interest and the Patriots checked in on me. And asked like, is there interest there? And then I was like, ugh, that would have some interest in me. So I was working out a little bit, but not like I work out. So shame on me, but I remember when I found out that the Patriots were interested that something could happen. I was like in my buddy's pool back home. I literally was drinking out of a growler of Dragon Slayer, which is a beer made out of Syracuse, like literally in the pool drinking Dragon Slayer. So my phone rings and I answer and I'm in the fucking pool. This is no bullshit. My buddies from home, they would laugh. So apparently I didn't know I was pretty hammered. I didn't know the sequence of events, but apparently they said I got out of the pool. I went into my buddy's house and I go up to the bathroom and then they're, Flynn, what the fuck you doing? I guess I went up there, I weighed myself and I went back in the pool with the growler and I told my agent, well, I'll think about it. And that was it. So I was like in the pool in like, August, in the bag, drinking in the pool, and I went up and weighed myself. I'm like, oh, I'm in the 290s. I think I can do it. And then I went back to the fucking pool. It's like my buddy's favorite story. Because then they were pumped because I said, yeah, I may sign with the Patriots. They're like, are you shitting me? Like they were pumped. Like my one buddy's a big Patriots fan. One guy hates him, but one loves him. So they were like, holy cow, this is going to be awesome. I'm like, wow, dude, I'm in your pool drinking a growler of Dragon Slayer. Every other player in the NFL is in camp. So I wouldn't count on me lasting too long, But it was easy. I went in there. I had to do the conditioning test. Killed it. You know what I mean? Like it was, you would run like 10 or 12, 40 or 50-yard sprints, right? You would rest like a minute or two between, then run it again. And I passed it in flying colors. Like that was like it was too hard. But I shit you not. The next 2 weeks I was with the Patriots, my fucking legs and back hurt every fucking day from that point on. Like, I couldn't even get in the stance. So when Bill calls me and he goes, hey, Bill was awesome too. He's like, hey, and it was him and I think it was Pioli. hey, we're gonna have to let you go, but at least you're on tape. You're not like these other fucking guys out there that haven't been into a camp and everything. And I'm like, Bill, thank you. And I just walked out because I'm like, Bill, if you let me on this team, I go, you want to talk about, not earning your, stripes? That was it. But I went in because it was the Patriots. It's close to home. Like I shouldn't have went. But I played for 2 weeks with the Patriots, took some snaps with Brady, got to see the facility, got to be in some meeting rooms with Bill Belichick and Dante Scarnecchia. So it wasn't all lost. It's always good to be around greatness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you land 98.5, the Sports Hub. That happened, and how do you like working with Ryan Johnson? He's a pro. I got to tell you, I had him on last week. He's a pro. He was just a play-by-play guy that does a talk show.
Yeah.
And said that he was just kind of out on weekends one day and then, hey, this is Flynn, and you guys basically met 10 minutes before and have been doing shows now for fucking 10 years, pretty much.
Yeah. No, it's like, I think, honestly, what my connection to the hub was? It may have been Mike Reese.
Oh yeah, from ESPN. Yep.
Yeah, because I used to talk to him from time to time, and I think he's, hey, if you need some connections, or I don't know if and Tangway was one of that, because Tangway went to University of Maine, so that may have been I ended up talking to Mike Thomas and Mike Thomas, who was the old PD there, and I remember my first show, I was in there with Hardy. Who else was in there? I don't know if it was just Hardy or somebody else. I can't remember. So I did like a quick show with them, and I talked to Mike on the phone, like, hey, listen, I did it down in Baltimore. I'd be willing to the opportunity. And, I got to give them credit. Like, they gave me a chance. Like, it's not like I was a well-known guy. So they were basing it on like, oh, here's a guy that played football. And I'm sure like there's a commodity to that, because talk radio is a little bit different than TV. Like TV, you can know football and talk it, but you know how it is. Talk radio, there needs to be some entertainment there, because it's really hard to fucking listen to any asshole for 4 hours. I don't care who you are, right?
Yep.
So like, and not that you have to make up shit and try to be entertaining. It just has to be your natural like thing, So I went on there and I was with Hardy, and I had the best. I think Mike Thomas brought me in and it was just kind of like, well, you don't suck, so we'll see you next week. And I'm like, that's what he said. You don't suck. We'll see you next week. And he goes, you're going to work with Ryan Johnson. He's a pro. So yeah, and that's how it was. I mean, Ryan's great because it seems like I'm more of like off the wall a little bit, or I can go off the reservation more, and he's more straight laced. But like, it's kind of, we're more like the other guy is than you think. Like I could be more like, I need to know what I'm talking, like kind of square a little bit. And he's more like off the rails. Like he seems to get angry a lot, at people and stuff. Like I don't get angry, you know what I mean? Like, so you think like, oh yeah, it's typical. It's the football jock. He's loud. He's beer bottles over the fucking head, and Johnson's the straight leg guy, but it's not quite like that. But yeah, it's been great. You know what I mean? Like I love talking sports, but I love talking about the stories and talking about everything else. You know what I mean? Because sports are great. But sometimes like, you know how it is when you get on there and you something, anecdote, or the human race has a story you want to talk about. It could be so much more entertaining than balls and strikes at time,
Yeah. And you never know who's going to be on the phone or busting your balls, and then it takes its turn. Want to have some fun with you, ask you a couple of topics that are going on in the world. So, Yannick Ngakoue plays for the Jaguars. He wants a trade, and he at the owner of the Jaguars basically trade my ass. And Tony Khan, who has a hand in AEW, a new wrestling promotion, and he goes at him and he says, "Hey, sir, this isn't helping your value whatsoever. Like we're trying over here." A little bit of back and forth, but imagine you back in the day going on Facebook or MySpace or wherever else and calling out the owner's son and saying, "Fucking trade me." Like, well, this really is 2020.
Dude, it's a different time, man. Like social media is the way people, that's how they communicate. I mean, what's the difference if like a guy goes on TV and demands a trade question? Like it's kind of the same thing now, because if you go on Twitter or you put something on Instagram, it's your own words, theoretically, if you're not a moron, it won't be taken out of context. So yeah, you want to get traded. It's a way to get what you want. I mean, you put pressure on the organization maybe. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know how it doesn't help your situation, I don't think it does. But what's the difference if he got interviewed and said, "Yeah, I want to get traded," or there's a report from, ESPN or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little more bold and brazen when you're adding the was the son of the owner. Like, yeah, like that's kind of fucked up. You know what I mean? Because it becomes more personal that way, as opposed to if you're saying, "Hey, I want to get traded." You can do business. But if you're saying, putting somebody in the tweet and all the replies go to him and all that kind of stuff, I think that's a lot more personal. So I don't think that's great for negotiations.
Did you have a chance to watch the Jordan documentary the other night?
I did. I watched both of them. I liked them. I mean, they did so far so good. I mean, it's kind of getting the background of the characters and the nostalgia part of it. The biggest takeaway I get is Jerry Krause, the biggest idiot in the world. Like, you credit him for putting that team together, but then you like alienate every important piece of that puzzle. Like, listen, business is business. Scottie Pippen signed a stupid deal. Phil Jackson wants more money. Like, but there's ways to handle it. And then the last thing you want to do is piss off Jordan. Like, how do you? Jordan can't come out and say this is the only guy I want to play for, and then you come out and say he's gone after the year. Like, what do you think Jordan's going to do? So that's one of the big talks. And the second thing is like, I mean, I think we all knew what kind of competitor that Jordan was, but I really think like his interviews usually aren't that revealing. Like that setup they have up with him now, smoking a cigar. There's some drinks there. Like, I don't know, but it seems very revealing to me. Like he's really like talking about at home and how his like brother Larry used to kick his ass and he hated him because he was getting his dad's attention, like shit like that. And like, how he came to the Bulls and it was like a shit show and like, but it's like very revealing and personal feelings. And like, he was, kind of saying like what Scotty did was bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, so far so good. I mean, it helps the timing of it. And certainly, the Jordan year was the last, that to me, the best era of the NBA was like 83 to like 93, that first Jordan run. I just think with the players that were there, the time in my life, everything I thought, but I mean, regardless of what, I thought it was the best era, but you could extend a little bit with those Jordan Bulls, but it's a good peek into, I mean, I think it was Scottie Pippen. You remember when they interviewed him in the second one, they said like, it was just different. Like Michael Jordan wasn't just the best basketball player in the world.
Yeah.
He was this iconic figure. He was one of the most recognizable people in the world. Like he was beyond level. Like you couldn't just hang out with him. You're not like, hey, Mike, you just want to go get something to eat. So Mike didn't really talk to anybody. Like, it's easy to say like, how great would it be? But like to be in Mike's position and you see how the team's around him and everything. But it's interesting. Whenever you can get, behind the scenes of something that great. And I do remember this, like that, the second go around with Jordan, it was so iconic in those teams. And what they were about and everything like that. And I don't actually remember all the drama to it that but now that seeing it now, you kind of remember it a little bit, but I think it's good and you couldn't ask for better timing. I can't wait till Sunday to see the next two.
Yeah. One of my big takeaways was they're playing Jordan versus Bird, 86 finals. And they kept doing the pick and roll in isolation. And Bill Walton had to foul out and was yelling at Danny Ainge because
that was awesome.
They had to switch. But dude, 5 Hall of Famers, man. 5 Hall of Famers that he dropped 63 on.
Hey, you know what I got to? How about Danny Ainge playing golf with Jordan before the playoff game? Who the fuck is Danny Ainge? Unbelievable, that guy.
Imagine now.
That guy. Dude, doesn't he live a life?
Dude, imagine.
I love Danny Ainge, dude. You know when I was growing up, actually, Danny Ainge was my favorite Celtic.
Really? All time?
Oh, yeah, I love Danny Ainge. I did. But I couldn't believe that story. Like, no, I don't mean like, who the fuck is he? I don't mean in a bad way. I'm just like, unbelievable. Like, so he's like on this, like, plays for the Celtics and he wins the championships and he goes to Phoenix and all that. Portland, I think he had a run. And I think he's like the best GM in the game. He's awesome. But like, I didn't know he was at the level where he's playing golf with goddamn Jordan. I mean, it's like, what? Oh, that was, I don't know. It was a little quick anecdote that I just friggin' love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He probably took his money too. Gambling. I actually love that. Any documentaries you'd want to watch about like an athlete or just anything in general, like in the world? Like, I don't know. I've been kind of thinking about it. Like, I think I'd be interested in like the Toronto Blue Jays of the '90s.
Ooh,
Like, I
that's a good
still
team.
like Joe Carter won a World Series on a walk-off home run. Like, I feel like I'd be interested in that. But is there anything that like you'd be interested, or any like athlete, or just maybe in the real world like documentary?
Yeah, maybe some. I mean, there are some musicians probably that are pretty decent, but the sports world I find fascinating. Like, there most of these kind of get done. That's a really good one. Those Blue Jay teams were pretty good. I guess would be part of like teams that kind of like grass hold you a little bit. I mean, most of these things kind of get done, right? I thought like
Yeah,
you'd think of
like
different eras, like
the
the
Pistons,
Fab
Bad
Five in
Boys.
Michigan.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't like, I didn't like Michigan. I hated them. You know what I mean? But like that, like the documentary, like, that's a good one. They did that Celtics Lakers thing a little while back. Um, those are kind of the teams that I'd be interested in. Maybe some individuals. Um, but I can't think of a lot of guys that are close to the vest. You would need somebody that's an individual athlete that has a lot of success, but you don't know about them a lot. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But right now, I'm not. I think everything's kind of that I've been in my wheelhouse that I've liked. You know what I mean?
Are you sick of the Ray Allen stuff? Obviously he went on the Cedric Max
Yeah.
podcast and mentioned that he got death threats, and he went on and won, and somehow the Celtics still hold a grudge. And Kevin Garnett's going to make the Hall of Fame this year and get his number retired next year, and people wonder if Ray Allen's going to be there. But like, do you still hold that spite over Ray Allen for moving on?
Not really. I didn't blame him for moving on. Really, I don't see. I think Kevin Garnett normally he gets his name in number in the rafters because I think it was a different scenario. Like what he brought, he changed the culture. He was a big time superstar. He was the focal point of that team. Whereas Ray Allen shouldn't be up there. And I know it's like a double standard, but it's not. I mean, I think Kevin Garnett was a different player, like in terms of what he brought more to the table. I mean, Ray was great for the team, but I just think it's a little bit different. I guess I'm over it. I mean, like he got death threats. I don't know. I mean, I think most people didn't give, like there's assholes that's why I hate social media. They can get you in a lot of different ways. I do think there's nothing wrong with Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce being hurt and upset about it. Like, it's so weird. Like, like if you look at some of the older years, like the teams hated each other, and like I like that because like those guys are killing themselves trying to win, and there was this teamwork. So like if that's how they feel about the Heat and they hated those guys and he went there, like it's okay for them to be pissed. And you know what? People are human and they hold a grudge, but at this point, I'm over it. I was like, I was kind of like, you go to the Heat, but I wasn't pissed. I mean, the Celtics weren't going to be that good anyway. But it's an old story, and it's almost like because he did so much for this team, but I'm almost like, who gives a shit anymore? It's
Yeah,
Ray Allen. I mean, it's
I'm the
like,
same way. And now that like we're away from basketball now, I'm kind of like,
yeah, like
who
I would
cares?
be more upset if Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett had some sort of like, bad breakup with the team and we couldn't celebrate them. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Ray Allen, I'm like, even when he was on the team, like, don't get me wrong, I thought he was great and they would never win without him, but I was always kind of like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. So I don't care about it. I really don't.
Was it ever like
Um,
that with the Ravens and Steelers, or did you guys always hate the Steelers? Like it
oh
was
my
just
God, hated him. Hated him. I mean, from like talking shit on the field to the time like Joey Porter and Ray Lewis got in a fight in the parking lot and like, I'll see you here. Threaten us when we're going to see him in Vegas and all that. It was awesome. That was the best part. This is the best part. I hated him. And
good.
that era of like Joey Porter was such a pain in the ass and just talking shit and everybody was so nasty and mean. And I think that, we did respect him, but that went for a long time. Like that was a real rivalry, and there was some give and take. For a lot of times, it was the Steelers would kick their ass, and then eventually we fought back. Like you try to generate that with the Jets, but at the end of the day, the Jets are like horseshit, and it's a horseshit organization. So it's like it's not good if they don't fight back. Like the only time it was good, like with Rex Ryan, but like with Pittsburgh or Baltimore, it's like that all the time. And it's like that with the fans. And there was one year, oh my God, I actually was on a TV show, and I think Syracuse was on before me. We did it together. I can't remember. And he's like, yeah, these Steeler fans, because they travel well. This guy goes on TV, and like, if you see a Steelers fan in the bathroom, you pull him in the stall, pull a shirt over his head and knock the shit out of him. He says this like 2 days before the game. I mean, I'm like, what? Because like in the early days, especially at Memorial Stadium, in the early days of the Ravens Stadium, like if we were getting thumped, right, and the game was over, dude, you look up in the stands, dude, Haymaker City, like it was nuts, like Steelers and Ravens fans going at it. It was just, I mean, it got so bad. Like that rivalry hurts everybody so much. So I got to tell you this quick story. It's a great story. It won't be long. Mm-hmm. So we're playing. We lose 9-6. 9-6. You want to talk about a shit game to watch, right? We lose 9-6 at home to the Steelers. Okay. I come out of there. I'm so pissed. My parents are there. And my dad thinks he's going to stay in the parking lot and drink some beers and hoot and holler. I'm like, getting the guy, we're going home. So we're driving home. And it's pretty easy to get out. It's not like Gillette Stadium. There's one on-ramp you need to get on to get to the highway and get where you need to go. And some car, every time I tried to pull up, this car would cut me off. And they did it like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, what the fuck? I look over, right? The whole car is full with, they have Ravens gear on. Okay? So I'm like, okay. So the little kid in the back kind of waves at me like that. I'm like, all right, they're Ravens fans? I didn't know. I didn't know they're pissed off, right? So I pull up and he cuts me off. Finally, the guy rolls down the window, full Ravens gear. He looks at me dead in the eye. He goes, hey, Flynn, fuck you, go Steelers, and pulls off. I'm like, he was so pissed. So my wife was in the front seat. She jumps over the seat. He goes, fuck you, you fucking ass. Like, oh my God. It was just, dude, I couldn't. The little kid was in the back kind of waving. They were so mad at me. And you know what, though? If I was him, I'd be pissed because we scored 6 goddamn points. That ain't good enough.
That's a great story.
Dude, I can't make it up. Leans over his kid, says, fuck you, go Steelers. It's to it's one of my dad was in the back seat. And then 5 minutes, we're in shock. 5 minutes, we laughed our freaking asses off. So that's one of our things now. Like, my wife or like my dad will just be, hey, fuck you, go Steelers. Like, it's one of the greatest stories, which shows you like the passion. And I wasn't, honestly, initially I was like, what? Deep down, and I know you're not going to believe me, I wasn't mad at him because we scored 6 fucking points. You know what I mean? Like, that's what fans need to realize. Like,
that's good.
We kind of understand. We just don't want to hear it. It sucks. Nobody's going to feel worse than us. That's probably you. Like, that's something you would do.
Oh, yeah.
You'd see like Gerard Mayo there, and they lose at home. You pull up, man. Screw you, go Jets.
If I saw Jared Stidham, I'd be like, hey, Stidham, fuck you. You threw a pick 6 and you didn't cover against the Jets.
Oh, dude, the best. Dude, that's the shit I miss, to be honest with you. Like, dude, here's the best part about it. We come in like Sunday, Monday, you ever film. I told the guys the story. And like, you want to talk about brighten up a room, though. They were pissing themselves. So like, are you kidding me? Like, dude, I can't make this up. The kid was sitting there. The guy's telling me to go screw over this kid. Oh, man. Good stuff.
Hey, so
yeah, that's a rivalry, man. It was good. And on the road, it was good.
I think we found our next documentary, maybe. The Ravens versus Steelers. Maybe
dude, I bet you it'd be good. It'd be good. Because it's competitive. I think you got to, like, let it breathe for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, but I think it could make a good book too. But I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the stuff. Yeah, like Joey Porter and Ray Lewis fought in the parking lot.
Well, there's Jerome Bettis stories, I'm sure.
There's,
and
then certainly the rivalries on the
Terrell
field.
Suggs had a great run, and
and he was but it was good. It's a good rivalry. I mean, it was those games to play in were awesome, and both the fan bases were like great. Like once we got good, then the home games were like Ravens fans. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a lot of Steelers fans.
Mike, I know you're a big wrestling fan. Speaking of documentaries, there's one on Viceland tonight. So they have a whole series of them. So they had 8 last season, and they're doing more this season. And it's called Dark Side of the Ring. Tonight, they're doing the history of Dino Bravo. So they're gonna like look back at his history and some of the things that may have happened to him in his career. Last week was Jimmy Snuka, and then Chris Benoit before that. They've had the Von Erichs, like you name it, all the good stuff, like the stuff from your wheel, Bruiser Brody, like they got all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm addicted to that series. I love it.
So it's so good. Last week, Howard Finkel passed away, the ring announcer, and to me, and I'm not just, I know I'm a wrestling guy, but I take him over the buffers. I take him.
Yeah, why not? I mean, here's the thing with wrestling. I goof on like Jimmy Stu, and you're like, oh fuck, wrestling, so it's fake, but it's not fake. It's like predetermined. You know what I mean? Like what they do isn't fake. All that jumping around, like I couldn't do that. But like he's announcing like there's these sports, and he had personality, and I saw that because I think Ryan tweeted out, and I saw that. But Howard Finkel, dude, he was an icon. Like in those early days, like when it was in my wheelhouse, like that, probably like early 80s, to the late 80s, and picked up again in the Raw era. But like he was the best. And Gene Okerlund and that crew, like those guys are good at what they do. And Finkel would like interview guys too and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that is not easy to do, especially in the era where, before you thought, you knew it was scripted, right? Where there was more heat because people would get pissed off. Like it's not easy to do, what they do to get heat. And I think it's even harder now because, it's sport entertainment, and Vince McMahon changed that.
Everyone sniffs it out now. Like Hulk Hogan was forced on you. Well, now that you can't force someone on you now, it's like, fuck that guy, I don't like him, and you boo him. But like it's so different now. And now without fans, I'm going to say that I think that's one of the things that hurt Gronk. The fact that he couldn't be a hype man, and maybe that's when he was like, all right, can't do wrestling anymore, I'm going back. And that brings up one more thing. I get some fun questions for you in a minute here, but Jimmy checks in. I'm pissed to know that Brady and Gronk had this planned all along, that Brady knew he was leaving before last season, which he did admit on the Howard Stern podcast. Feels cheated on. And there's a report that just came out that Brady and Gronk both wanted a change of scenery. The only way Gronk could do it was to sit out for a year, and obviously Brady knew that he was going to take the year off. Dude, like this seems like it's planned. Now that look in hindsight, it looks like it was planned.
I mean, I don't know if it was planned, but I think Tom knew it was going to be his last year. That's a lot to ask for a guy to sit out a year, and you're not going to make $8 or $9 million in salary. It's a pretty big ask for somebody, you know what I mean? Just so you can get out. But maybe Gronk, I don't know how much he got paid. Maybe he supplemented some of the salary he's going to get. He's doing a lot of stuff, Could it have been talked about? Like if Gronk was out and he knew he was retiring and he was out in the offseason, if Tom said, I'm definitely not coming back, he goes, hey, if you go someplace else, I'll come back. Do I think that's realistic? Yeah. But I don't think that they got in the room and said, hey, you retire. This will be my last year. We'll meet up in 2 years. But I would think as Tom saw the writing on the wall, absolutely. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't Tom call him? Like, he'd be stupid not to, right? Like,
you think Welker's next?
What's that?
You think Welker's next?
Wes Welker?
No, not Welker. Edelman. Holy shit!
Oh Jesus!
I went back and
I don't know if he can still do it.
Edelman. Sorry, but
but he's still under contract. Would you trade for him?
Could they trade for him?
I guess they could.
Do you think Tom Brady wants Gronk and Edelman?
Yes.
Do you think Edelman wants to go to Tampa Bay now?
But I mean, do you need Edelman in Tampa Bay though? You don't need him.
But you put him in the slot with that team. Mike Evans on one side. Whoo.
But I mean, it's an easy move for the Patriots to make, though. It's not like he went, to somebody in the AFC. He's in the NFC South. Like, if Bill can get a third round pick for Julian Edelman, why not? Because at this point, does it matter? Because Edelman, I feel like he's only really going to be good as with Brady anyway.
Hot take.
Well, I mean, how good can he be? I mean, a lot of it is the option routes, and you got to read and you got to see things on the same page. Like, like quarterbacks can make a receiver. And don't get me wrong, like, is Stidham going to trust him? Another year removed. He wasn't as explosive last year. I'm not knocking on him, but I say at this point in his career, who's he going to be better with? You know what I mean? Like, there's not much future there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they got a good offer, they would trade for him. That'd be great for Brady, though.
It would definitely.
You got that young, explosive talent on the outside, but you're bringing back veteran guy. And then, here's the thing, though, too. You bring in guys like that, it sets the tone for that offense. You know what I mean? It sets a tone like this is the way he wants it. And if you don't do it the right way, you're not getting the goddamn ball. And he doesn't have to throw it to you because he could throw it to these two guys. Mm-hmm. So those are guys going to want the ball, and they'll do it the right way. So just culture guys and locker room guys, it would be huge.
All right, Mike, let's have some fun. I call this segment Quarantine. It's stuff we're doing in quarantine.
Quarantine.
All right, if you could only pick 3 Rocky movies, all right, out of the 5.
Are you counting the Creed movies?
Yep, counting them all.
See, because I do like that. I like both the Creeds actually, but that first Creed I thought was a really good movie.
So, if you could keep any 3 Rocky movies,
yes,
which 3 would they be?
1, 2, and 3. Simple.
So no Russia. I mean, isn't that like your thing? The Cold War?
Well, here's the thing. I have no love for Russia for sure, but here's the problem. Rocky 1 is great. Rocky 2 does not get the respect it deserves because they always play Rocky, and Rocky 3 and 4 are always on. But Rocky 2 is an awesome movie because it's still like, before the like glam of that Rocky 3 when he got in super shape and all that kind of stuff. I go 1, 2, 3 because 3 though to me is still the best. So you got Hulk Hogan, Thunder Lips, you got Clubber Lang, Hey Woman. I mean, it's just so I would go 1, 2, and 3. I'd feel confident doing that. I would miss him battling the Russian on the road. And I do like that first Creed, but I'd go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and the best, the kind of like sneaky good one is Balboa.
That's not a bad one. The guy, the son is the dude that he's been in a lot of stuff.
He's in This Is Us.
This Is Us, and he was in Heroes, and he's in a couple movies. The best part of that is remember when his son's pissing in his beer, he goes, "Oh, Dad, you're gonna embarrass me," and then he goes, "Hey, kid, you used to be this big in my palm." Remember that story? I love that story. He goes, This world will beat you to the ground if you let it. It's how hard you get up. I mean, dude, that speech alone should be close to the top 3, but it is a sleeper good one now.
Part 2, though.
Paulie's still in that one, too.
That's right. Part 2, though, is he's just getting married, and he gets off, and he goes, "Hey, what are you going to do with your money? How about investing in some condominiums,
when he's trying to do commercials and stuff, I mean, God. And to me, like, the best part is when, like, the press conference with Apollo Creed and 2, when they're like, "What are you going to do with your money?" He goes, "I don't know. I think I'd get a hat. I'd get Paulie a snow cone machine. Hey, Paulie, you like snow cone." And, like, Creed just sitting there, like, steaming. Like, he is, like, oh, it's just great, man. That's 1, 2, 3.
I've watched them all, actually, during quarantine.
Why not?
Not much to do at this point. Motley Crue or Guns N' Roses?
Ooh, Guns N' Roses. I mean, their first album was just awesome, and the rest of the stuff you got to pick through. But I mean, I liked Motley Crue. I don't think they're that great. They're okay. I've listened to a lot of their albums and stuff like that, but I would go with Guns N' Roses because I think that Appetite for Destruction is so good that I would just listen to that all the time.
Have you seen both live?
No. I refuse to go to Guns N' Roses concert. Fuck them. So
what?
Yeah, you didn't know that I banned Guns N' Roses from my lifetime. I almost went in a couple times, and I was almost had my finger on the buy button. I couldn't do it.
Wow, I saw them with Buckethead, not with Slash.
Okay,
they were pretty good.
Without Slash, that's not Guns N' Roses. But
I know I saw Slash's Snake Pit, and they were really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then this summer we were supposed to get this great Oh, we're gonna have it all, man. Rage Against. This was going to be one of the best summers.
Yeah, I would have saw Rage Against the Machine. I would have gone to the Motley. Like I haven't seen Motley Crue. I've never wanted to go. Because I think they suck live.
Whoa.
Because Vince Neil stinks.
Yeah, that's true. He does.
I mean, if it was 87, I'd go with you, but not like anything past like, like after so Girls, Girls, Girls probably came out in like what? Was that late 80s?
Yep.
Yeah. So anything past that, I mean,
yeah, you're out.
They're bloated,
Hey, what are you currently binge watching right now?
I'm lucky I get to watch Game of Thrones because I've never seen it before.
Where are you? Did you see the whole thing?
No, but I mean, you want this goddamn show now. I'm gonna tell you, like, it's to the point. It's so like nerve-wracking. Like, I start to hate it because characters that I appreciate in the show get killed, and it pisses me off. I am at the beginning of season 6, and a character is reemerging, to put it that way. But I like it. I don't like that genre, fantasy. I decided to watch it. A couple episodes okay, and then all of a sudden it caught me, and then to the point where I got to the Red Wedding, and
I love the Red Wedding.
Yes, and the Red Wedding, and it hurt. Like, I mostly got invested, and my radio part, like Tucker and Ryan Jessup, were talking about this on air. I'm not giving any spoilers, and even when we're off there, they stringed me along. They were good poker players, and I went home, and like a week later, I finished that series, and the Red Wedding came up, and I lost it. I said I can't watch the show anymore. I decided, so I was off it for a long time. Then the quarantine brought me back. It's awesome. Yeah. It's good. It's good stuff.
So what's so funny is I actually think that's one of the best shows of all time. I don't spoil. I'm not going to spoil anything. But since it's ended, I haven't even fucking thought about it. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, we'll have to talk about it when you're done.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like, here's what I always see people bitch and moan about the last episodes. They want it to be this epic thing.
The ending. Like, I loved Lost. The ending sucked. The Sopranos, I still think about,
Yeah, but at the end of the day, right? Like Breaking Bad, I liked, and Sopranos, and Game of Thrones. Like, okay, it's hard to wrap up the emotion I felt. Like, look at Game of Thrones in the first 6 seasons. Okay, the emotions that have gone up and down. How are you going to wrap that up in one 50-minute episode? Like, that's why I look at it. Like, now Breaking Bad slammed the goddamn door shut. That's the best closing episode of all time.
And Mike, I'll tell you, I watched Better Call Saul right now, which is the prequel.
Yeah, I'm watching it too.
I watched last night. I actually like it better.
Well, I don't. Not me. I mean, because I don't like the first. It's getting better. I thought the beginning was boring, and I don't care about the relationship between the background of Saul a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of the boring stuff, but I like it though. I'm not saying it sucks. I'm just saying I don't think it's better than Breaking Bad. Okay. But I just I don't like when people tell me like I like the fact that I didn't see it in real time. Now I can catch up on Game of Thrones, but like when people get disappointed in the ending, like I get it. But dude, I just like thinking about like these episodes and I'm like, oh, or you know what I mean? Like, if you give me like 6 years or 7 years of that, like whatever, the last 50 minutes suck. What do you want me to do?
The King Slayer. Like when you were drinking King Slayers, that's all they talk about on the on game. Anything else? Did you watch Tiger King or anything like that?
No, I couldn't do it. I'm watching tons of 80s movies, which is awesome. Like you name them, I'm watching with the kids. I'm like ripping through them. Anywhere, you name it. Like Summer Rentals and Great Outdoors, Stand By Me, E.T., like Goonies, Lost Boys, Indiana Jones, like killing them.
Yeah, I bought Back to the Future 1 and 2 the other night. I got
those are good. After 2's not bad. 3 it gets kind of hairy.
It gets Western. What will be the first restaurant you'll go to once you're able to go out?
Oh man, dude, that's tough. I'd probably go to like if I'm here, I'll probably go to like you ever been to like Island Creek Oyster Bar downtown?
Yeah.
Oh, like the seafood in New England is awesome. If I was in New York City,
the North Shore, dude. Like I go to the Cape, But like the North Shore food, I'm telling you, like
The best.
people don't want to, and I'm fine with people who don't want to go north. Like
Yeah.
it's fine.
No, I like it.
But the food out, and we live in North Shore, like it's
Yeah.
fucking awesome out here.
It's so, like, honestly, Joe, I'm going to tell you, like, one thing moving, and we're not far from the city, but like, it's part of like, I want to go closer because I want to go to the city, and maybe it's because we're out here, but yeah, the food out here great. But I go to like an Island Croy because I need seafood. I was in New York. I'd go to like, there's a couple restaurants, this Thai food place that's like out of this world, you know? But honestly, I don't know. I may just take a right on the main drag out of my house and stop at the first restaurant because I'm so tired of frozen pizzas and pasta and horse shit. It sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel you on that. And I wanted to ask a couple more here. What is your drink of choice?
Miller Lite.
Number one, huh?
Number one, number two, number three, number four, number five, and number six is vodka.
Straight or like mixed?
A little bit of soda.
So I'm a mimosa guy. Like you give me
Yeah.
mimosa. If like you go like on a all inclusive, I'll drink mimosas and fruity drinks all day long.
No, I'm not anti that. Like here's what I won't. I'll drink anything but whiskey and bourbon. I
Ooh.
like wine a lot. I like vodka, and I like if I'm like. So my wife and I, we went to Mexico before all this shit went down with the kids. You know what I mean? And like, dude, it was Tecate Light and then mixed drink, like the boat drinks I call them. I love those, but like the go-to drink, it's like Miller Lite.
I know you've been spending time in New York. Your kid's been on Broadway. Is he like in the heart? Are you guys like in the heart of New York right now? Like, I know
we're home. We came home. Yeah.
But I mean, but obviously with the pandemic, but are you guys like in the heart of New York? Like,
yeah, we live on 42nd Street and like 10th and 11th. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, it's good.
He's like the star of the plays, or one of them at least.
Yeah, he's one of the leads in the show, and he loves it. I mean, that's his world. You know what I mean? He's good with that, but he's kind of bummed out now because the show's suspended, and unfortunately for child actors, you outgrow roles. So there's a good chance that when it comes back to Broadway, he probably won't be able to do it. And he's coming to the realization of that, and he's very, very depressed. You know what I mean? So,
he can do
which is understandable.
Dude, I was in a Grease play. I had to sing Beauty School Dropout.
So you were the angel?
I was the angel. I was Frankie Valli, was it?
Frankie Valli, yeah.
Frankie Avalon.
Frankie Avalon, yeah.
And and
I know that because I know theater, and I've actually seen Grease. I like that movie.
Yep. And I was part of the team.
In high school, you did that?
No, grade school, eighth grade.
Oh, eighth grade.
It would have been 95. I did that.
And you hit the Beauty School Dropout.
Oh, dude.
Oh, it can tickle. You can still do it. Sing that bit. You said what you do.
I probably could.
Podcast soundtrack.
Maybe one night we'll go out to karaoke somewhere local.
No, I suck.
No,
I'll bring my kid though. He can be our ace in the hole.
I'll do it. You just bring the booze.
Dude, I gotta tell you, my only regret with karaoke is so my buddy lives in Atlanta, and he brought me to this bar, and it's like in this decrepit hotel. At one point, it was probably like a crack house. Now it's condemned. They still have the bar underneath. What the hell is a famous old? No, that's not the one I'm thinking. No, it's a bar in Atlanta. They have this band called Metalsmith, and basically it's a full band, but they're karaoke. So you sing with a full band, and so you can play Motley Crue, Smoking in the Boys Room. You have a full band behind you, and you sign up for it, and it's awesome. And I didn't have the balls to do it because I wasn't drunk enough. My buddy was. He didn't do it, but he drank like a bottle of scotch. Like I was just drinking beer. But that's like, I don't like karaoke. Like I don't really do it because I can't sing well, but it was the coolest. I never heard of that before. And now, like, I look back, I've Googled online, so I've thought about having that at my house, which I still may, and I'll invite you. But you can hire guys to come here and you could be a live band karaoke. But until I visit my buddy, I never saw it. So I walked in, I'm like, oh my God, it's like the coolest thing. So you got these people like, and they, it's rock tunes and all that kind of stuff, like that are up there prancing around like friggin' they're a rock star with a full band behind you. And then they have a lead singer too. So if like more than likely guys like me are going to stumble over some lines, they can kind of fill in the blanks. But Metalsmith, if you ever go to Atlanta, I bet you if you Google them, they can tell you what bar they're in. was
I mean,
awesome.
you can always do, Journey songs, Don't Stop Believing, Faithfully, Open Arms.
So in the quarantine, I've decided, like, I listened to all of James Taylor's catalog because I never liked him. I've actually got a little appreciation. I still don't really like him, but okay. I've
Great
listened
songwriter.
to, yeah, that's what his songwriting. And now I've listened to every song in the Journey catalog between the different singers and everything like that. And now I'm working through. I tried. I was going to do Rush because I hate Rush. I couldn't do it. I tried the first episode. I'm not going to. I can't. I don't like Rush. So I'm doing Elton John now.
Well, I love Elton John. I hated Rocket Man. I thought it sucked.
The movie?
I thought Rocket Man sucked.
It could have been better. And I think the guy that did it thought he was going to be the guy that like Queen and win an award, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I thought Bohemian Rhapsody was good. Well, maybe because I'm a Queen fan,
but doing Elton John now, and then my next catalog, I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking maybe REO Speedwagon or Nickelback. I'm not sure.
Oh, fuck Nickelback.
Well, everybody hates them, and I just want to like.
Oh, okay.
I kind of like Rockstar, that movie Rockstar. So I just want to listen to my own ears.
Okay, that's my wheelhouse. So that generation, I call it butt rock because, like, think of all like the worst thing happened. Puddle of Mud did a cover of Nirvana song yesterday. It was the fucking worst thing I ever heard. So
no, that's
they sing everything is changing.
Yeah.
But Nickelback, their first album, they were pretty good. And it was it wasn't songs you probably know, like not the hits. They were like a rock band. Like I liked Stained a lot, but Stained was a Korn cover band before they became it's been a while, like, you know what I mean? So before all that shit, they were rockers. The same with Nickelback. Nickelback sold out, never made it as a wise man. And then they did the fucking Spider-Man movie, and a hero can save us. And like that's when they sold out. But there was so much butt rock, dude, from like the 2000s, was just I like Three Doors Down, and I look back now and I'm like, yeesh.
Like I like Three Doors Down too.
See, but it's butt
I
rock.
used to listen to one of their songs on my pregame hype tape. But I like that like 97 to 202, like that.
Yeah, like
late
I like
90s.
Third Eye Blind.
Yeah, all that. So what? I don't even. What would they call that? It's like it was all because in Baltimore. What is it?
I think it was alternative rock.
Alternatives.
Yeah.
So I like that era, like probably from the early 2000s. See, because when I was in Baltimore, they had Alternative was a huge station. There was a huge station, WHFS in Baltimore. They had a huge station in DC. So in the summer, I could see all those bands. Like you'd go down to DC and like Everclear and all those bands would play for like $10 at some Chili Fest. You go there and watch them play. Like they had all these kind of like rock, like the station concerts and stuff when it was huge. So I like that era of rock, and there was a lot of shit, but there's a lot of good stuff too.
Yeah, it depends on what you'll walk into.
But then again, though, too, is I guess I like even the crap if I like it. I don't thumb my nose too much on radio. If I like it, I like it. You know what I mean?
So real quick, my favorite band's Alice in Chains. Okay, if you go from 89 on, Facelift, listen to their EP Sap, which is a great album. Jar of Flies, which you'd love because they collab with like Chris Cornell, and then they made the Dirt album. You'll know Dirt from every single hit that they ever had. But I'm a huge Unplugged fan. Like I loved Nirvana Unplugged. It's still one of my favorites. The Alice in Chains Unplugged album, dude. Jerry Cantrell's the guitarist of Alice in Chains, and Lane Staley's like the big singer. There you go.
Innocence is. Dude,
there you go. Nutshell.
I don't even know how he got on the stage. Lane Staley was such a disaster at that point.
There you go. They had to give him fucking dentures to sing the song.
He lost all his teeth.
And then, dude, like I know so much, dude. The first podcast I didn't have a guest. I just ranted about Alice in Chains for an hour. But
that's a great band.
But yeah, like, dude, they didn't know on that Unplugged album. They didn't know if he was going to show up. So when you watch,
an hour or two before.
Yeah, he's got fucking Kool-Aid in his hair. He's got the gloves for his hands, and his arms are like covered up. He's got dentures in his mouth, and they had to like redo a couple of songs because he forgot the lyrics of the songs. So like if Alice in Chains Unplugged, it will open up with Nutshell, the song you're singing. It will go into Brother, which is off their Sap album, and then it will go right into like No Excuses, Rooster, Got Me Wrong, Down in the Hole. Like you'll hear all the songs, but it's like beautiful. This beautiful rock played on an acoustic set.
See, I love Jar of Flies. I love that.
Oh, the Jar of Flies. Oh my god! Like I'm telling you, if you get bored, Alice in Chains Unplugged, and there's a song that never came out that they used on the last song. It's called "The Killer Is Me," and but the one thing about Alice in Chains, who's my favorite band, before they have like this new singer or whatever, the last song on the last album they ever made was called "Over Now," and like I think the band was over because Lane Staley just could not fucking function anymore, and it's
no,
sad.
he was like basically he was like a shut-in.
Yeah, and one of the greatest voices in the history of music, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's too bad. But because I love that ear, that's the Seattle music.
Grunge era.
But think about it though. Cobain killed himself. Cornell killed himself. Lane Staley, all intents and purposes, killed himself. It was OD, but he killed himself, because of the drugs. And
the only one going is Eddie Vedder.
Eddie Vedder. And it was weird. Like when they were at their peak, they had 4 bands that had #1 albums. It's nuts.
And you want to think about it, Mother Love Bone was the band before Pearl Jam.
Yeah, with Andy Wood.
And Andrew Wood killed himself.
Yeah.
And the song Wood by Alice in Chains is about Andrew Wood. Into the Flood Again. That song's about Andrew Wood, in case you didn't know. But yeah, so dude, I fucking love the grunge era. And they all came from the same area. Like imagine growing up in like one spot and everybody's like everyone's a big like just this like all the agents used to just walk into one area. And
well, it's funny when Jake in the show he's in, they were out in Seattle for a couple months, and we lived out there from December into January, lived out in Seattle. And it's certainly changed from that era, but there are still some of like holdovers from that era, like the Showbox and these different places where they used to play and stuff like that. So I did like that era, so I thought it was pretty interesting. But yeah, but those bands are like all great. Like those 4 bands that came out of there, and they had some bands that kind of didn't quite make it, were great bands.
Yeah, Heart came out of there.
Yeah, Heart was from there. I never knew they were from that area.
Queensryche was another one. I think
Queensryche was from there.
I believe so. Yeah,
but yeah, then but then like anything, right? They had some really good bands like Alice in Chains and stuff. And then they would have these bands that like sound like those bands, but they're not those bands, and they suck.
That's how I took Puddle of Mud. And she fucking hates me, and it just sounds like Nirvana to me. And that's what happened when I first heard Smashing Pumpkins. It was like, whoa, this is different. Like, because it was like something finally. Stone Temple Pilots came out, and it's like, whoa. Yeah, but I was always a Metallica guy. Like, and every Monday now they do Metallica Monday. I'll play all like Metallica live shows during quarantine. Finally, Mike, I know that you're a high school coach. Do you have aspirations to coach beyond high school?
Yes and no. I mean, of course I would, but I won't. It's I got 4 boys and everything. Like, I mean, that's something I probably could have done like right out when I was done playing with the opportunities and stuff. But I think the ship has sailed for me just because like it's a great profession, but it sucks, especially if you're a positional coach. Now, the money you make as an O-line coach in the NFL, I mean, it's okay. I'm not saying the money would be there at least, but still, if you potentially could like move 4 or 5 times in like 12 years, I mean, that's not good for the family. Unless you get hooked up with like Bill Belichick or something like that. But I love coaching though. I love it, and then it's like cool, like high school kids, like if you coach at the professional level, it's awesome because it's very competitive and there's a lot at stake there, and certainly the money's better, but I don't know how much you're changing lives necessarily. Like you're just trying to put these guys in a position to get a little bit better. But high school's been awesome, because you're with kids that have never played the game before. You're teaching these guys how to be competitive, and like it's a totally different feel. Like I mean, you can make it a little, it's like more rewarding. But yeah, I would love to coach at a higher level. Who wouldn't? But it's just not in the cards for me.
How about obviously the governor today said that there'll be no more classes for the rest of the year. Is it hard on these seniors? Have you had a chance to talk to any of the kids? And like, these kids can't go to prom. They can't. It's I don't even know like what they're doing. Like, do they even know where they're going to school? Like, must be hard on some of these seniors, right?
Yeah, like it's I'm on an email list for some of the things for our school, and they're talking about how they're changing guidelines for people that aren't in college yet with grades and what they're considering. So there's that part of it, right? Just like if you're a kid that wants to go to school, but you're not quite committed, or you're not getting, you're waitlisted, or you're looking to apply to the school, it's got to be stressful. But I also think just, I don't know, like high school is for what it's good or bad, right? You got your 4 years, or if I recall, I'm getting old now. Like the last couple of months of high school were the best.
Yeah.
Like, I knew where I was going to go to school, and I had a good time. I didn't play a spring sport. So I enjoyed that time, and with graduation, everything that came with it. That's kind of that's the last time, the point of your life. Like, not that you go out and you grow up, but it's just different. You're home and friends from home, and to miss out on that and basically miss the whole semester, I think would be tough. And then certainly, with baseball players and lacrosse players and track, these athletes that have stuff in the spring that are competitive kids that, like, yeah, realistically, like, they're not going to play in college, but they get those sports taken away. I mean, that's tough. So, nothing good. People, as we do these podcasts, and it's great, and you try to find silver lining in things, but dude, this tsunami of this thing is crazy. Of how many people are getting affected. People are losing their lives, certainly, in their livelihoods, but even just things like this, missing out on experiences, right? Because that's what life is, especially like in high school. Like, they're not all good, but they're still experiences, and you're missing out on that. So it sucks. Um, guys and girls that like kind of missed their last seasons and stuff like that. So one of the many things that are getting destroyed with what's going on today.
All right, Mike. I took up 2 hours of your time today, which I didn't know. We had fun, so I didn't know.
Do I get paid double or what?
What else would you do though? Right? You saving 2 hours today is like shit. Like,
dude, I know where you live now. I'm going to come over. I want a case of Miller Lite on the porch.
On me.
Just leave it out there. I'll bring some wipes. I'll clean it up.
Maybe I'll bring like the tall guy glasses Miller Lite, or like the old logo Miller Lite ones that they have.
So my neighbor, that's what I see. That's class. So my neighbor knows I like Miller Lite. He goes, he'll get me those little logo bottles, dude, and it melts my heart. You know what I mean? You want to make a friend? There you go. All right, buddy.
All right, my buddy. Appreciate it, man. I'll
anytime.
And you can check this out: Spotify, YouTube. I'll email you all the good shit.
All right, thanks, bud.
All right, buddy. I'll catch up with you soon. Thanks, man. He is Mike Flynn, Super Bowl champion. Again, you can find it just sitting here on Spotify and YouTube and on iTunes as well. Mike's a great dude, man. Love hanging out with him at the Sports Hub. We're actually neighbors. He's been spending a lot of time in New York lately with his kid, but a lot of fun with him today. I just want to wrap up the show. Better Call Saul, I thought was awesome last night. The season's over, which now I have to wait another year and a half, but I still think Lalo is one of the best fucking villains going in sports. And tonight, Dark Side of the Ring features Dino Bravo. That one should be very good. And I recorded the Chris Farley documentary, so I'm going to check that out tonight. I'll give you a recap on that, but I'm a huge Chris Farley Saturday Night Live guy. Adam Sandler was like my favorite growing up. Not the Adam Sandler but like the old They're All Gonna Laugh at You before Billy Madison stuff. I loved Adam Sandler. So I'm interested to see that tonight. And it's draft week, so the draft will continue. Tomorrow we have Mike Lockhart of 98.5 The Sports Hub. He's part of Toucher and Rich, but he's also a big draft guy. We'll do a ton of stuff. We'll learn his story. He's got a pretty good story as well. We'll shoot the shit. We'll have some fun. And tomorrow will be at 4 o'clock as well. So just want to put that up there. I'll be on with Zoe and Hardy again tomorrow. I'm filling in for Zoe while he's in Pennsylvania with his family after the passing of his father. So we wish them well, and they're in our thoughts. So again, you can send in anything to me at Joey Murr on Twitter, and you can listen to everything on Spotify, YouTube, and on iTunes. Appreciate everyone for chiming in. The Rob Gronkowski to Tampa Bay story will be big, and it probably looks like Bill Belichick couldn't get along with the greatest quarterback and the greatest tight end of all time. They wanted out. It's probably going to be the storyline for the rest of the year when it comes to the New England Patriots. We'll start tomorrow. Zoe, Beetle, Hardy, 98.5 The Sports up at 10, and then I'm back here with Mike Lockhart at 4 p.m. We will talk to you tomorrow.